Black people can vote 100% for Democrats, and they're not going to have any leverage in the political environment. And I'll tell you this, the Democrats, look at their platform. They want women to have abortions. They don't support a marriage. They don't support God and things the way the Republicans do. So what does that do to the inner city Black communities or Black communities in general? We're not getting married. Baby daddy, baby mama drama out of control. We have an abortion more than anybody else. Obesity is out of control in the Black community, which is one of the biggest plagues in the Black community and the leading cause of death, which is hypertension and heart disease. What has the Democrats done about it? Nothing. The Republicans with RFK is saying we need to make sure we have better foods. We need to make sure the SNAP program aren't prioritizing soda to our young people, which a lot of Black people are on the SNAP program. That's the difference in policy position. But D.L. Hughley, he'll never talk about that.
14 players said, I'm going to boycott this. Whose side are you on?
I think that it's not just political. What Donald Trump has done and is doing to Black history is unsavory and is undeniable. Donald Trump is deliberately trying to erase Black people's history for whatever quest. He's elevating Christopher Columbus again. So he deliberately is doing things to Black people that isn't just political. And any Black man that does it is going to obviously catch some level of heat.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise. It's been a little minute since I did a full-fledged reaction, but we have to react to this, man. One of my favorite YouTubers out there. He's a little younger than I am, been doing this a lot longer than I have. My guy, Officer Tatum, goes on the Stephen A. show and puts on a daggone clinic, absolutely destroys D.L. Hughley. Now, y'all got a chance to see D.L. Hughley clip at the beginning of this video here. I want you guys to see what Officer Tatum says, and I also want you to see how so eloquently he goes about schooling Stephen A. Oh, man, he did a great job, man. Like, share, subscribe. Let's get into it.
Think about D.L. Hughley. I've said this before you came on the show today. I'm like, listen, you can't sit up there and talk mess about somebody, all right, and then expect them to do business with you. You've got to be willing to compromise. You got to be willing to cross the aisle, figuratively speaking, in his case, because he's not a politician. You got to be willing to work. You can't be about denigrating the president for every damn thing. Like there isn't a single thing that he says that he doesn't do right. Everything he says isn't wrong. Everything he says isn't off kilter. Some things he said he does have a point about. There's no question about that. I push back on you when you try to lay, like somebody like a D.L. Hughley, when he pointed out how Trump challenged his nationality, whether he was born in the United States or not. Let's not forget that. When we point to issues, when we talk about how, what have they done for us or what hasn't been done for us, when we see a guy like Clarence Thomas and others, you speak against affirmative action, but you benefited from affirmative action. When we hear Trump come into office and literally a plane collides with a helicopter and he's blaming DEI with no evidence whatsoever, and they're questioning the meritocracy of something or the merits of something, and all of those kind of things are taking place, we do find ourselves, and I think D.L. Hughley is absolutely entitled to find himself uncomfortable with some of the things that he is seeing. You see, he might have gone too far by saying what he said. I think he did. Anybody that goes to the White House, anybody that communicates with Trump, I think that's beyond the pale. But him being skeptical, him questioning some things, I don't think that's off kilter, Officer Tatum. I don't.
Well, Stephen A., if his skepticism was genuine, I agree. My father has skepticism of Donald Trump and things that are genuine. My dad is a good man. He's acting in good faith, and he don't hate white people.
But how do you know it's not genuine?
I think he has a big issue, and he hate white people deep down in his soul. And that's why everything white people do, he has a criticism. When white people get in a shooting against Black people, he has a criticism. I guarantee you I haven't seen his take on the kid in Dallas that stabbed a young man in the heart. I guarantee he took the side of the Black man. Let's go back to the birther thing. The birther is argument about the validity of Barack Obama's birth certificate started with Hillary Clinton. And there was a whole bunch of other politicians outside of Donald Trump. Donald Trump piggybacked off of things that people had already established. D.L. Hughley, I mean, we can go down a list of all the other things that you said. His skepticism of policy. What policy is he referring to that Donald Trump is doing that's against Black people? Last time I checked, building the economy helps build Black people's pocketbook. Last time I checked, when you're talking about immigration and getting all these illegal aliens out of our country, spending taxpayer dollar, Black people pay taxes. That helps and benefits the Black community. When you think about Clarence Thomas, this is a Black man who worked his way up and decided that we do not need affirmative action because it discriminates against all people. It discriminates against black people because there are black people who are qualified that are not necessarily associated with this affirmative action thing. You know, they may have a family, they come from a good family, a good household, and they're not associated with getting a handout because their parents did the work and their parents put them in a position where they're not considered lower income or people who benefit from affirmative action. But also, it's time for us to move forward. We can't keep living in the past, Stephen A. I mean, my God, I just saw a movie that came out called Sinners. I haven't watched it, but the preview of the movie and some of the dialogue around the movie is another movie projecting black people in the 1930s, and it's the white man against the black man. When are we going to stop this mess? You know, the Underground Railroad's proliferation and success didn't come from just black people. There were good white people who never owned slaves, who never had nothing to do with slavery, who risked their lives to help Harriet Tubman get black people to freedom. In the history of this country, there has always been good white people that have done positive things to affect change that benefited black people. Now, there have been racists, there have been knuckleheads, but generally speaking, in the totality of circumstances, in the American experience, there's nowhere else on planet Earth black people can go and benefit and prosper and have a level of success than in the United States of America. And there are so many corporations and so many lenders and investors that are white that have propelled black people to a level of success that we've never seen before. I mean, Stephen A., your contract is very handsome. And I don't think that they're treating you improperly because you black. It's because you earned it.
No,
It's because you went years of being consistent,
right,
speaking your mind, taking the heat, and then you're getting paid.
My response to that would be, that's true. I'm very, very fortunate, but I went through a lot before I got to this point, and it took me significantly longer to achieve what others who look differently than me might have captured sooner. But I do get your point, because I don't.
I'm with Brandon Tatum here, man. It's 2025. People in here in America are some of the wealthiest people in the world. The black Americans are the wealthiest black people in the world as a collective. Again, like I said this morning, we're not perfect. And I don't think there will ever be a nation that is perfect. But when you got that blue passport, when you are a United States citizen, you hit the birthplace lottery. Seriously, we live in the greatest time that human beings have ever lived in. When you look at the amount of comforts and technology that we have. How long are we going to continue to look back at the Jim Crow era? We're going to continue to look back at slavery and blame that as the plight and the reason that black people are on the lowest end or the bottom of the socioeconomic totem pole. Like, how long? And at what point will you take some accountability for your actions? Seriously. And the Democrat Party has been a detriment to black Americans. Let's just keep it a buck. A full-fledged detriment. I can't think of a policy that they implemented or a policy that they championed that has actually been a help to the community. All of their policies hurt, and everywhere where Democrats rule, these are some of the worst places in the country. That's a fact.
Sit there and look back, and I don't view every white person as racist, and I don't view every policy as racist. A matter of fact, one of the reasons I've never felt that way about Donald Trump in terms of racism, Nazis, and all of this other stuff is because I knew him before he ran for office, and I knew a whole bunch of us that knew him before he ran for office, and we never said that stuff about him. Neither did Oprah, neither did a whole bunch of other people. There was a whole bunch of people communicating with Donald Trump, befriending Donald Trump, socializing with Donald Trump, and we never had any problem. So I view him as somebody that's catering to a constituency because he knew he wasn't going to win the left. He wasn't going to win the Democratic nomination because that was going to Hillary Rodham Clinton. They would have made sure he didn't win that. So he went the other side, and
I'm glad Stephen A. pointed that out. The DNC chooses who will be the face of their party, not the people, the DNC. And Stephen A's absolutely right. Even if Trump would have ran as a Democrat and beat Hillary Clinton fair and square, the DNC would not have chosen him because he's not controllable. You got to go play the game with these people. You got to go play the game with them. You have to capitulate to everything that they tell you. You have to capitulate to. You got to go bend the knee all the way, not halfway, 100% of the way.
He, being a businessman, is willing to negotiate his way through anything. That's how I view him, but that's just me. I want to get to you in this regard, Officer Tatum. You talked about your dad and how he didn't vote for Donald Trump. Are you a lifelong Republican, or are you somebody that was a Democrat that transitioned to being a Republican because of the things that you've articulated since you've been sitting on this show?
That's a great question. You know, in America, and I say this is unfortunate in part, that when you black, you come out a Democrat. Because when I was young, we didn't even vote. We weren't even deep into politics. But you just knew if you were going to vote, you voted for a Democrat, because
That's
the
true.
Democrat was for the black people and the Republicans were racist white people. That's what it was.
That's true.
And then when I grew up, I started being more informed and started looking at policy positions as a Christian man. I say, well, wait a minute. I don't think I agree with nothing that the Democrats are doing. I don't think I agree with any of it. I believe in God. I believe putting God first. I believe in marriages between a man and a woman. I mean, you go down a list. I don't want to pay no crazy amount of taxes just for them to be throwing your money like they at a strip club. So I'm saying, when I look at the policy position, not the emotional manipulation of empathy that I see from the Democrat side and from D.L. Hughley and others, I look at policy and I say, well, the policy of lowering taxes makes sense. Thomas Sowell, the great economist, have already articulated, and any economist will tell you, when they lower the taxes and taxes seem to be reasonable to the American people, they pay more into the treasury. When you raise the taxes, people try to evade taxes. Therefore, there's lower money coming into the treasury of the United States of America. So I'm for lowering taxes. I'm for, immigration policy. It don't make no sense whatsoever that people have to wait 10 years to come over here. And I think it's prejudice against some of the African nations because they don't get to just walk through the southern border. People waiting in line forever, paying all this money, fleeing actual persecution, and they don't have an opportunity because we have 20 million illegal aliens coming from the southern border right into our country. And D.L. Hughley didn't say a thing that I've seen about when Joe Biden was doing this and screwing black people over. Because where do they go, Stephen A? When these illegals come into America, they don't go to the foothills. They're not going to the affluent neighborhoods. They're not welcome at Martha's Vineyard. They are going and competing for low-skilled work in the inner cities. And therefore, they're putting black people out of employment because black people are working for citizen wages, which means that you're an American citizen, you have to work for minimum wage. These people coming over here, that you can pay them under the table.
I'm popular for saying this, Officer Tatum. When white folks catch a cold, black folks catch pneumonia. It's always worse for us than it is for them. I bring up that statement because of what you just said. When you think about open borders and illegal immigrants crossing the borders, ultimately you're alluding to it having a detrimental effect on the black community. Is that your way of saying that you felt the left did that to us, that they just disregarded black folks?
Stephen A, they've been...
Before he goes, that's what the left has been doing this entire time. That's what the left has been doing for the better part, of 100 years. I mean, the Democrat Party is the party of the KKK. They are the party of Jim Crow. They are the party of redlining. They are the party that held the longest filibuster in U.S. history until about 2 weeks ago when Cory Booker broke it. You know what I'm saying? To stop the civil rights bills from being passed. This is real. This happened. So not only have they been that, for the past previous years, but they've been that for the better part of 100 years in this country, or well over 100 years in this country. Come on, man.
Giving us the middle finger since I can remember. All the way back from the Ku Klux Klan. They have never supported black people whatsoever. They hoodwinked us into getting us on food stamps and getting us with government assistance, having us to abandon our own success. We had our own bus line. We had our own schools. We had all this stuff. They tricked us into believing that the white man was the cure to our own issues.
Okay.
They tricked us. And then now look at us, Stephen A. They don't have to bid for our vote. They got our vote hook, line, and sinker.
Well,
so they're
part,
never going to do nothing for us.
That part I get. But when you say they did nothing, I'm thinking about civil rights legislation. I'm thinking about
that right there just goes to show you how uneducated about this particular situation or topic that Stephen A. is.
About infrastructure. I'm thinking about Jim Crow laws, the eradication of it. I'm thinking about the access to capital.
Those are all things that Republicans did. Republicans voted in the House and in the Senate at about an 80% clip, almost in mass, for every civil rights act that's ever been passed in this country. Like, what are you talking about, bro? That just goes to show you how ignorant. And I don't say that to denigrate, because I think Stephen A's fairly intelligent dude, you know, regardless of what Jason Whitlock may say. But the fact that you have so many people out there that will tout this, that will say things like this because they don't know. Lyndon B. Johnson signed a bill in the last, two or three or last two civil rights bills into law. But prior to that, Eisenhower did it. And prior to that, you had Abraham Lincoln, both Republicans. Like, what are we talking about here?
That
Stephen
was
A.
given, that black folks had dated from the 60s and beyond that we didn't have before that. Are you saying that's the Republicans?
That's Republican, unanimous Republican votes for the civil rights. The Democrats filibustered the Civil Rights Act, the longest filibuster in history until Booker just did what he did. But the Democrats were not in support of that. That was the Republican Party that was in support of that. And then let's go down the list. If these things were benefiting black people, why are we still complaining today? We've been voting for Democrats for, 40, 50 years now, lockstep, and we still complaining. We still don't have the rights that we want. We still don't have equality in America. Racism is still plaguing our community, according to black people. So what have they been doing this whole time? And when you look at it, they have just secured our vote, and they don't have to do nothing for us. And this is what we've created, Stephen A. We've created an environment where we don't benefit from none of it, because the Democrats don't have to work because they know I already got us. The Republicans don't need to work because they can win without us.
I've been saying that.
Black women voted at 90-some% for Democrats. Stephen A.
And
Donald
still
Trump
lost.
won in a landslide. You give it.
Not only did he win the Electoral College, he also won the daggone popular vote as well, with black women voting 92%. 92% for Kamala Harris, who will probably go down as one of the worst candidates for president in the history of the United States.
You give it 2 more election cycles, illegal aliens and Hispanics are going to be the majority minority. Therefore, black people can vote 100% for Democrats, and they're not going to have any leverage in the political environment. And I'll tell you this, the Democrats, look at their platform. They want women to have abortions. They don't support a marriage. They don't support God and things the way the Republicans do. What does that do to the inner city black communities or black communities in general? We're not getting married. Baby daddy, baby mama drama out of control. We have an abortion more than anybody else. Obesity is out of control in the black community, which is one of the biggest plagues in the black community and the leading cause of death, which is hypertension and heart disease. What has the Democrats done about it? Nothing. The Republicans with RFK is saying we need to make sure we have better foods. We need to make sure the SNAP program aren't prioritizing soda to our young people, which a lot of black people are on a SNAP program. That's the difference in policy position. But D.L. Hughley, he'll never talk about that. He will never talk about the fact that we've given our trust to the Democrat Party and they fix nothing.
I'm going to invite him on here. Offset. I'm going to make sure that I play these clips for you. I've met him over the years a couple of times. He's always been cool with me, even though he's been critical of me from time to time too. I'm a big boy, like I said. I can take it. It's no big deal. But I'm definitely going to drop this education you dropping on him. I'm going to make sure that he sees this.
The crazy thing is, and we're going to wrap here, and I'll leave the link to this video for you guys to watch it. If you want to watch it in its totality without my commentary, I will leave that link for you guys in the description box. But when Brandon Tatum started going down the list, you know what I'm saying, of, the actual accomplishments, of Republicans, and they started pushing back and talking about, how bad the Democrat Party has been, silence from Stephen A. Smith, crickets. He couldn't refute it. And the thing is that if any of these people actually sit down and just listen for a second without pushing back, without wanting to, go off the deep end, and without their TDS, getting the best of them, and they just sit back and just take the time to listen and get educated, it would change their minds. Seriously. If they could look at this, because the thing is, the Democrats are good at, they're always good at creating a boogeyman. Trump just happened to be the biggest boogeyman because he's the most effective. He's probably the most effective leader that the United States has had, and the Republicans have put, as the face of the party in quite some time. Let's just keep it a buck. And so they've made him out to be the ultimate boogeyman. And it's not because he is that bad. It's because he's that good. And he is a full-fledged threat to what they would like to do to this nation. These people want to destroy America. They want to get rid of the Constitution. They want, men to be women, women to be men. They want to be able to snatch your kids away from you. They don't want you to own anything. They want to tax you into oblivion. They want to allow illegal immigrants to come over here and just run roughshod all throughout your community. They are not for you. And when I say they, I'm talking about these Democrats, man. They don't care about Americans, and they for daggone sure do not care about black people. Their actions has shown you that. I'm going to keep saying it, man. You judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And the Democrats' fruit is rotten. A bad tree must produce bad fruit. And that is what we get from the Democrat Party. Again, name a Democrat-led city, and I'll show you a place that is one of the most dangerous places in America. And it is definitely some of the most dangerous places in America for black people. And that is a fact. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on so you never miss an upload. This was a good interview right here. I'm glad to see Officer Tatum get a chance to sit down and educate Stephen A. Smith, because I am for certain that a lot of the things that Brandon was able to share with him, it was probably the first time that he had heard it, because a lot of these people, they live in these echo chambers. He's going to have to take some time. He's going to go do some research and go look at those voter rolls of every Civil Rights Act or Civil Rights Bill that has been passed. Go look it up for yourself. He'll find out that Officer Tatum is telling him the truth, and he is dropping facts on his behind. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on so you never miss an upload. Keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so